Every club has its teams, the committees, task forces, and work groups that make our service projects, community programs, fundraisers, and social events possible. We've all been part of good teams, we've all been part of bad teams. Throughout this training, we will look at the necessary steps your club can take to avoid the pitfalls that negative teams can create. This is Building Your Sertoma Team. Teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. These famous words from Andrew Carnegie emphasize just why building a team is so important. We can't go it alone. The want to be part of something bigger than ourselves is a huge reason why most of us become Sertomans after all. We believe in a mission of service and stewardship, and when we pool our resources, abilities, and accomplishments, it's amazing what our club and our national organization can achieve together. Balance. Every team needs it. Dr. Meredith Belbin and his team identified 9 clusters of behaviors, known as Belbin team roles, that are necessary to become a high-performing team. These roles include the plant, resource investigator, coordinator, team worker, monitor evaluator, shaper, implementer, finisher, and specialist. Pause the video now to take a look at what traits each of these roles possess. This slide can help inform the process highlighted throughout the rest of this training. What are the most important values we want our team to bring to the table? The answer to this question is critical to building your team base. This is more of an overarching approach to how your comprehensive volunteer program works, not necessarily specific to a certain committee or work group. Let's say that your club identified continuous progress as one of its goals. So what would we be looking for here? Well, since we know that our most successful teams are not static, we would want to highlight change, growth, and improvement as our values. What other types of values should we look for? Our heart values are what make us do what we do. It's what led us all to become Sertomans. The core of this, of course, is service. Sertoma clubs exist to put people first through our service to mankind. We are united together in this pursuit of fulfilling the needs of others in our communities through our local club work. Sertomans are also unified by our singular national mission, to improve the quality of life today for those at risk or impacted by hearing loss through education and support. We also have our reputation values. These values examine how our club is seen in the community. Do people even know you exist? This can play into your club's ability to recruit members, solicit donations, find community partners, draw event attendees, secure sponsorships, and more. Teams must agree on what their reputation will be in the community. Keep in mind, if you are talking about an internal club program, your definition of what community is will change. But regardless of your audience, consider things like, what makes us attractive to others? What are our marketing messages? Do they need to change? And what do we want others to know and understand about our club, event, or program? This discussion should lead you to what reputation characteristics your club values. This might be things like extreme community service, continuous progress in our mission goals, fun and enjoyment in helping others, and broad utilization of our members' talents and skills. What characteristics does your club need to bring to its interpersonal relationships? This can be a great activity for your leadership to take part in, as it can help you create a strategy for your volunteer program. What does your club need to do to make sure that you are reaching the highest level of service possible in the communities that you serve, providing quality programs that help your club meet its mission, and creating a satisfying work environment for all of your volunteers? There's no right or wrong answer here. Much of it will depend on your club's mission, offerings, and culture. As we talked about earlier, we all understand the importance of bringing the right people to the table, and that's why it's essential that we choose the right players for our team. What individual traits make for a great team member? You are likely going to want to look for people who actively participate, help generate ideas, motivate others, and have good follow-through. You should also refer back to the Belbin team roles for more insight. As well, you'll want to pay careful attention to creativity and innovation. We just acknowledge that we need to get ideas from others, but do we really listen when they're offered? I'd also encourage you to look outside your usual volunteer base when possible. Getting members involved in your club should be an overall membership engagement goal, as it makes your members more likely to stay part of Sertoma. This is especially true with your newest members. Make it a goal to help them find a place to be involved with a team during their first year. So how do we foster teamwork? There are 4 steps your club can take as it engages with teams. Building respect is an overarching approach that should be part of everything that your club does. You should also make sure that you are empowering your teams, recognizing and rewarding when and where you can, and educating your volunteers on what lies ahead. We are a team, and when I say that, I don't just mean the group of volunteers assigned to work on a committee or project. I mean that your entire club is a team, and even bigger than that, Sertomans throughout North America are united as a single team dedicated to service for mankind. It is with this in mind that I remind you a team must be built on respect. At the heart of this value is an articulation of how, as Sertomans and human beings, we should treat one another. How can we best work together without compromising individual values, creativity, and productivity? This is where the Sertoma Code of Ethics or a club conduct policy can come in handy. It sets a mutually understood foundation for how your teams will behave, work together, and most importantly, treat one another. Empowering the team can be an especially difficult challenge for many boards that are used to controlling everything. However, their job here is not to rule with an iron fist. Instead, they should be setting strategic goals for the club. It is at this time that club leaders are able to define the expectations they have for their working teams. Once they have communicated these expected outcomes, it is paramount that they trust their team to get them there. Sure, the board will need to provide additional resources, whether that is access to information, recruiting additional manpower, or putting some money behind it, but ultimately they need to let the team do what they've been asked to do without any micromanagement. When looking at your public events specifically, remember that teams are empowered when decision-making responsibilities go to those involved in the event planning. Trust the wisdom of the volunteers, especially those closest to the action. There is true value in being part of an organization that has fun and enjoyment in their service. People want to know that they are valued in such an organization and may need a pat on the back. Reward team participation. It doesn't have to be anything major. Your members will love little gifts. Maybe it's simply a certificate of recognition or a special volunteer lapel pin. These small tokens can show your teams are appreciated without breaking the bank. Provide public recognition. Can you work with the local media to talk about your team's achievements? When they've launched a new community program or put together a great event, make sure that you're telling your club's stories. Social media and your club's website are other great places to share these successes. And perhaps the easiest of all, give on-the-spot praise. Make sure to constantly encourage and thank members throughout the process to keep them motivated and feeling valued. Our last hint for fostering teamwork is to make sure that you are educating your volunteers. This can look different for each club and even for each working team. Here are 3 questions you can ask as you look at how you should be informing your team members. 1. What information do they need? Your membership committee will likely need different information than a group charged with program oversight, so it's important to consider each group carefully and then arm them with the info they need to be successful. 2. What questions do they have? Someone should be checking in with teams not only on their progress, but also on what questions might have come up as they've worked. Do your best to answer them quickly, concisely, and with as much transparency as possible. And 3rd, are there national resources available? Many times there are manuals, templates, and trainings that already exist to help your team. Why recreate the wheel or start at square one? The Sertoma Member Center, Members Corner on Facebook, national leadership, and headquarters staff are all here to help your members succeed. As we near the end of our presentation, let's look at a few final tips that can help ensure your team's success. First, get buy-in up front. This isn't just from those who will make up your volunteer team. You must also have the support of your board of directors and other key leadership. They need to be on board with the initiatives assigned to your teams, as they can be especially influential components of demonstrating value and need to your membership. Next, let them choose their own path. Remember those choose your own adventure books you read as a kid? The same principle applies here. Let your teams decide their own journey. Sure, you'll need to let them know what their final destination should be, but how they get there should be ultimately up to them. Each group will work differently, so let them find what's comfortable. Set financial parameters. This can play into what I just said, as it can be a potential roadblock on their path to success. Let your team know what their budget is so that their planning remains realistic and sustainable. And finally, turn them loose. It's amazing what teams can do when given the opportunity to work together without outside interference. This concludes today's training. Sertoma wants to help your club be successful. Make sure to visit the Sertoma Member Center at members.sertoma.org for additional resources and training. You can also join the conversation with other members on Facebook at the link on your screen.